Shalom. 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 All right. Shalom. Shalom. I want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who taught us all this truth in the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. I'm Shaquat, and I'm back here with another lesson, Lord willing, and satisfying to the hopeful elect. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakathum. To you, sincere Akim Walkworth, and a sincere shalom to you brothers out there pushing this truth down the highways and the byways and through the YouTube lessons, man. Shalom to you all. Lord willing, this be edifying and exhorting to the hopeful elect. Salakia, my voice is not fully there, so please forgive me. But as you see by the title, FeFails are beginning to think about the bigger picture. FeFails are beginning to think about the bigger picture. Now, I have the definition for bigger picture put up here, and before I go into it, this video will be operated and produced under the Fair Use Copyrights Act of 1976. All right, where all public information can be used for the purposes of criticism and education and research. This will not be monetized. Bigger picture meaning refers to the overall perspective or long-term view of a situation, focusing on the most important aspects rather than minor details. So it's to view the perspective of a long-term situation. So now these FeFails, and I got that from the elder Amar Kabar, he says it all the time. These FeFails, they are now starting to look towards the bigger picture, which is the fact that America is soon about to come into a time where it is going to completely go down, spiral out, hit the fan. Everything's going to go bad here. Apocalyptic type situation, if you will. And given that, now women are beginning to look at the bigger picture, because this video we're about to get into is not the first video we've seen concerning a woman saying something like this. And it won't be the last. It won't be the last. All right. So these FeFails are beginning to see the bigger picture. 100%. All right, so they're starting to look down the long-term scope of what am I going to do if all hell breaks loose? All right, when shit's the fan, how am I going to be alive? Because women, they're survival versed. They know how to survive. They know how to survive better than men at times. At times, so they're hypergamous in nature. So there you go. And I wanted to go into the meaning of FeFail. I don't want to do too much talking. FeFail meaning woeful bad choices made by women, or by women. Now, what does woeful mean? It means woe means destruction and death and destruction. So when you say woeful, it's something that's destructive or something that leads to death. All right. Or deadly, you can say. The term FeFail is a slang word that has been used to describe woeful bad choices made by women, meaning terrible choices made by women. And all of this has been happening since the beginning of time. I heard back in the garden. Of woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Right?
says often in a derogatory manner, and we are using this in a derogatory manner. Yeah, we're being very derogatory towards women when we use this, and it's 100% justifiable for us doing that. Because y'all are literally FeFails. All you women do is make bad choices. Now, out of all these bad choices, now you think you're gonna get a man of the Lord and shit. Like the Elder Morgan Gabor said, and etc. Hey, this woman here, she's gonna be lucky if she finds a man of the Lord in that day. And luck isn't real. So you're fucked, pretty much. All right. And then it goes into a different part of it. I never even knew this part of it. And I'm not gonna go into it. So let's go to Instagram and play the video. Got to do a lesson on this too. But, Taylor Moore, I remember I watched the Elder Malcolm do a video on this a few days ago. He knows her very well, or knows of her very well. She's a jujitsu guy or girl or gal. I'm gonna say it. She's very good at what she does. It's not my first time seeing her. I couldn't recognize it was her at first until Elder Malcolm brought it out, but she's pretty good at what she do. All right, she could the average man, she could kick his ass. Let's say that she could kick the average man's ass. All right, and that's facts. You know, but one solid strike from a man could change the whole ball game. So that shit really won't hold up well in Jacob's trouble. So even a woman who's an ass kicker, she could kick an average man's ass. She could kick his ass. She's even talking about how she's gonna need a man in that day who could protect and provide. Even she, you know, because you could have all the skills in the world as a woman, but at the end of the day, you will never have that innate strength that a man has and possesses, and she knows and understands that. You know, so yeah. Let's go to it. So let's go to the video. So listen up, women. Come on now, I just did this.
Apocalyptic situation. If a man can't keep me alive in a post-apocalyptic situation, I don't want him. How are you even attracted to somebody who would just get pillaged as soon as the government fails to enforce the laws? You don't really love him because you can't. Because what you really love is the social contract that we all have right now that allows him to stay alive. As soon as the world fell, you wouldn't be able to love him because you guys would have been pillaged and you would have to choose a stronger man. I would also go as far to say is like, as a man, you can't fight, you can't shoot, you can't grow food, you can't fish, and you can't figure out how to get us any of those resources. What are we doing here? If none of those needs are met, then I might as well just go be with another woman because at least I'll have emotion.
That's gay. See, I agree with everything she was talking about to this point. Because if one of us said some bullshit like that, we'd be classified as a mo. I'd rather just be with a woman then. And even then, I mean, shit, you would rather be with a brother. Yeah. But still, if we said, like, oh, I'd rather just be with a man, we'd be classified as moles. It's bullshit.
Security and stability while.
So she says, because she'll at least have emotional security and stability. Listen, none of you women are emotionally stable or mature. Y'all have no emotional intelligence at all whatsoever. So you wouldn't even have that, bitch. Why you think you women fall out more than men do? And etc. You wouldn't even have that. Y'all don't know how to be emotionally mature, stable, and secure.
While I'm fighting for my life with a lack of provision and stability. If a man.
She says over here, this might be a controversial take, but if you're with a weak man, you can only love him as much as the government enforces the social contract that keeps him alive. And I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm gonna tell you this. It don't matter how much survival skills a man has. Is it great to have these survival skills? Yes. Is it great to know how to start a fire, how to scavenge, things of that sort? Absolutely. Is it great to know how to actually use your body as a weapon, meaning learning how to box, knowing how to wrestle, maybe some Muay Thai? Yes, that's lovely. I trained some boxing, and I know how to wrestle a little bit, right? If you work out, you're in a lot of shape. Does that help? Absolutely. That's great things. Knowing how to survive, etc. But at the end, know how to use the sword, know how to use a sword. But at the end of the day, none of that shit fucking matters. Because if you don't have your Hawabah Shimmy Hawashai in that day, your ass is grass, man. None of that shit matters. It don't matter if you bench 500 pounds. It don't matter if you squat 1,000. It don't matter if you squat half a ton. That shit won't matter in the time of when shit the fan. It matters if you're favored by the Lord in that day. That's what makes the most top tier, most prestige, most valuable man in all hell breaking loose is if you are favored by the Lord. Don't matter if you John Jones or none of that shit. You could put John Jones up against a man that's fucking 120 pounds, never fought a day in his life, has no combat skill, and John Jones can still lose. You know why? Because it matters if the Lord favors you that day. If the Lord don't favor you that day, you will not win. I'm sure everybody thought Goliath was going to beat David. And guess what? It didn't matter about the Goliath's size, his strength, or none of that, because the Lord favored David that day and he fucking won. So it matters if the Lord favors you that day. So though we agree with what this woman's saying for the most part, that shit still don't matter. She ain't say nothing about wanting a man who knows the Lord, who's favored by the Lord. All she said was a bunch of carnal shit. None of that shit matters. It only matters if you fear the Lord and you're favored by the Lord in that day. And I'm gonna show you why none of that shit matters. Watch this. Let's get this precept here. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 12 and verse 8. In that day, the time of what? All hell breaking loose, etc. In that day, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. It's like in that day shall Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, meaning the elect. We are the inhabitants of Jerusalem. You have our people, but then you have the inhabitants. We are the foundation of our nation. Lord willing, we be at that number. So he's going to defend the elect of Jerusalem, of the Israelites. And he that is feeble among them in that day, feeble. What does the word feeble mean? It means weak. Weak. Let's go to it. Feeble. Fall, overthrown, ruin, bereaved, decayed, faileth, utterly weak. Weak. So that word means weak. So even the weak that is among us brothers, man, the weakest of brothers. When I say the weakest, I don't mean in spirit. I mean maybe you're not physically strong. Maybe you don't have no combat skill. Maybe you're literally just small. Even the weak, even he that is feeble among them, among the elect, the 144, at that day shall be as David. And David is the most mightiest warrior
we've had among our nation, man. Even he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai before them. So we all, even the weakest of us, gonna be as David, man. Who's the house of David? The 144. Even the weakest among us gonna be as David. The weakest among us is gonna be as a God. They're gonna be a God. The weakest among us is gonna be an angel, like the angelic powers we have. The angels, they're gonna be more powerful than the angels in that day. It goes back to Isaiah 59 and 19. When the enemy cometh in as a flood, the Lord is gonna lift up a standard against him, man. A standard. That standard is spiritual power. So even the weak among us is gonna be as gods in that day. So as I said before, as Floyd would say, as I said before, it won't matter how strong you are in that day, how much combat knowledge you have, how much survival skills and tactical knowledge you have in that day. It matters that the Lord favors you in that day. The Lord said, I will make a man, and these women are starting to understand that and realize it. I will make a man, let's get it, more precious than fine gold, even than the golden wedge. Oh, fair, this is one of my favorite precepts. This is Isaiah 13 and 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Is it talking about any man? Hell to the fucking no. It's talking about a man of the Lord, a man of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, a man that is marked with that Dawa, which is in the book of Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, and 4th verse, which is in the book of Revelation, the 7th chapter. He's going to mark upon the men that sigh and cry of all the abominations done in the midst thereof. Right? What is that mark? Dawa, the mark of exemption, exempt from judgment, where everybody else starts to get slayed. It states that in verse 5 and 6. So that's what's going to make us more precious, being of the elect, being chosen by the Lord, being men of the Lord. It doesn't matter how much skills you know, carnal skills, it won't matter because you won't be favored by the Lord in that day. You won't be favored by the Lord in that day. Let's show you Isaiah 32. All right, let's go to Isaiah 32 in verse 1. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment, and a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, meaning protection. Not just any man, a man of the Lord. As rivers of water in a dry place. How often will you find rivers of water in a fucking desert? It's not often. It's damn near virtually impossible. As the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Those things are not comely and they're not profound to come upon. Meaning it's a rarity. So finding a man that for this protection is going to be rare in that day, which is going to make us more precious than fine gold. Lord willing, we have that number. So it's going to matter if you're favored by the Lord in that day. When you go to the 33rd chapter, and verse 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, of all hell breaking loose, and strength of salvation. So wisdom and knowledge is going to be the strength of our salvation, man. That's going to be the strength of it. Having that wisdom and knowledge, that's what's going to be the strength of salvation. For the fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is his treasure, because that's how we get the wisdom and knowledge. These niggas ain't going to have wisdom and knowledge, so they're not going to be stable-minded. They're not going to have the proper guidance and provision of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Therefore, they are going to be through in that day. That's why I keep saying it matters if the Lord favors you in that day. All right? It doesn't matter about all these skills. So, yes, we agree with her to an extent, but at the same time, it only matters if the Lord favors you in that day. And that's facts. That's 100% factual evidence. All right? You go back to the 32nd chapter, you jump to verse 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my NLT, listen, you women who lie around in ease. What does it say in 1 Timothy 5? She that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. You women are alive, are existing at ease today. You're living life on easy mode today. All right, and the Lord is telling you to listen up. You women who are at ease, listen to me. You who are so smug, a bitch who just stuck up. And this bitch, even though she came talking about she need a man, at the same time, she's a smug bitch. The bitch we just showed, she's still a smug bitch. I might as well just give it a woman. Smug ass bitch. You can't be humble and smug at the same time. In a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care, and these women are starting to actually analyze and think about the bigger picture. They're suddenly starting to care. For your crew crops will fail, and the harvest will never take place. What does that mean? Your government aid, it'll stop coming in. Aid from all these different men. Men are going to stop giving a fuck about you. Hell, look now. There's dating stuff. There's dating events in New York, and the women having to pay $100 to get in, and the men are getting in for free, and the men still ain't showing up. So all that vintage is failing. Your pussy is no longer a superpower. Remember that song that came out years ago? I was a child when this came out. That pussy got power. That pussy got power. The pussy don't got power no more, man. The last stripping you of your power. He's starting to turn things the right way, right side up. You women are no longer compassing men. It's going back to the rightful order of men compassing women, men being over the women. All your power is failing. And you're starting to realize that. But even then, you're still so smug. And the man of the Lord is not going to take this bitch in that day. Lord willing. Tremble, meaning fear, you women of ease. Throw off your complacency. Throw off that comfort. Strip off your clothes. Strip off your pretty clothes. And put on burlap to show your grief. That's the times that we're coming into, man. That's what we're coming into. And women are starting to actually think about the bigger picture. Looks ain't everything. This ain't everything. Money ain't everything. Because when all hell breaks loose and everything fails, who is going to actually be able to defend me in that day? And it's a man of the Lord. That's why you have Isaiah 4:1. Isaiah 4:1 in the NLT in that day. So few men will be left. That's seven. Few men of the Lord, few men in general, but it's going to be a very scarce number of men of the Lord in comparison to everybody else. That's why we're going to be as precious, more precious than fine gold. In that day, so few men will be left. That's 7 women, meaning the completion of women. It could be 5, it could be 2, it could be 7, it could be 100, it could be 350. It just means the completion of women will fight for each man of the Lord saying, let us marry, let us all marry you. How do you marry someone? You fuck, you have sex. We will provide our own food and clothing. Now, does that mean they literally no? It's a mindset thing, man. Meaning there won't be a burden to us in that day, and they gonna make sure they got their shit together. Only let us take your name so we won't be mocked as old maids. So their shame will be taken away. You understand? This is why this is stated. All you women are going to flock to men. You tell a woman about polygyny today, about Isaiah 4:1 today. I'm not doing it. I ain't sharing no man. Well, you're going to die, bitch.
Just die, bitch. Just get Micah 7 and 10, you stupid ass bitch. Just get trampled like the mire in the street. That's what's coming to you women eventually at the end of the day. If you're not favored by the Lord, and if you don't get with a man that is favored by the Lord, if you don't have a man that is favored by the Lord, your ass is going to be through. Like I said, I agree with most of the stuff this woman said, but I didn't hear her one time mention, oh, I'm going to need a man who's favored by the Lord. I'm going to need a man of God. I didn't hear none of that shit. I need a man who knows the word. No, all I heard was I need a nigga who can fight, a nigga who can scavenge. But that shit still ain't gonna save a nigga in that day. Psalm 144 and 1 says, the Lord teaches my hands to war. That was King David. The Lord teaches my hands to war. All right? He teaches my hands to fight. Roughly paraphrasing. If you ain't got the Lord guiding you in that day, your ass is through, man. The Lord can strip you of all that knowledge you had in that day, and your ass be through. Desolate, nigga. Like 2nd Ezra 16 goes into. In Isaiah the 3rd chapter, you women are going to be desolate, like women ravished, huddled up on the ground, with all your men of war, all your husbands dying at war, all your sons dying. Gonna be right for the picking. You're gonna need a man of the Lord in that day. And these women are finally starting to analyze and think about the bigger picture. I quoted this earlier, Ezekiel 9 and 4. He said, KJV. And the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, said unto him, go to the midst of the city, to the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of all the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. All right, the just shall complain continually. That's 2nd Ezra 15. All right, so listen, the Lord is speaking to the angels. Hey, go mark these men. This Revelation 7 as well. Go mark these men, the 144,000 mighty men. Go mark these men. All right, with the mark of exemption, the Thawa. And to the others, he said in mine hearing, go ye after them through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly, old and young, both maids, so women, and little children, and women. It stated women twice, both maids and little children and women. So both women, then children, then women again. So you women are going to be fucking vulnerable in that day. And now you're starting to think about it and understand the bigger picture. And it says, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they begin at the ancient men which were before the house. Meaning judgments are going to start with the house of God, meaning those who know they're Israelites. All right? And that's the facts. But the point being, the men of the Lord won't be touching the day. You're going to have some men that are martyrs. You're going to have some of us die. But we're going to die in honor. Lord willing, we are that number. Point is, hey, we're going to be good in that day. But to you who are not good, you women are going to be through. You FeFails are going to be through. And like I said, I'm going to say it again, as I said before. Hey, man, I didn't hear it one time mention having a man who knows the Lord. A man who the Lord knows. So she may very well be caught up in this slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. She may be very well caught up in that, because the ones who won't be touched is the man of the Lord, and the women who won't be touched is one who is under the hedge of protection of a man of the Lord. And that's 100% facts. So I do hope and pray that this was edifying to the elect. I want to close this lesson by giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakorash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who have taught us all this truth in the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And until next time, Abba Bo,
Kwam Yasharala, Gadola Badium Lababo, Hakadol, Yahweh Mahar, Hapathum. And I want to say before I close it, man, listen, expect a lot of us brothers to be doing more videos on this because more and more women are going to begin to think about the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is when shit's to fail. What the fuck are you going to do in that day? Shalom.